is going to be the first person that will be giving us the road to how today's event is going to be. And I tell you, you are definitely going to have a great time. He has worked with the Defense Industries Corporation of Nigeria in Kaduna for 25 years before he retired as Assistant Director of Research and was Chairman, Local Weapon Production and Testing at the Kashia Shooting Range in Kaduna State, Nigeria. He also into equipment maintenance, installations, repairs, and fabrications when necessary. Interestingly, he had his 68th birthday last Saturday, 27th September 2025, and is currently a contract staff with Elizabeth University in Laramoki, Ondo State here. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, Engineer Dr. Stephen Olaniyi.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Protocol duly observed. I want to sincerely thank God first for this privilege of coming to this August meeting to address special people. And it's not really an address per se, it's a discussion of how I feel and think, which is liable to be corrected, which I'm ready to defend if I can. Also, I want to appreciate the organizers of this program. I don't think there's anything about security and politics and democracy that is new. The problem is in implementation. So we still talk, and I believe gradually those people concerned will hear. Thank you very much. As I said, our protocol is really observed. I'm here on Nigeria at 60, and the question is, can our politics sustain our democracy? Oh, sorry, 65. They look younger. More things to be accomplished. So can our policy sustain our democracy? The answer is not yes or no. No. It's not either yes or no. It's reviewing to move forward, never giving up. And part of moving forward, the critical area I want to look at this morning is our politics on security, which is very essential. And then, because even if there is good security, there will still be some threats. So we're looking at politics on security and existing threats in each geopolitical zone. I want to say geopolitical, I want you to break it down your heart to community by community. That is the mindset I want to have on this. And if we are looking at it that way, then it means we'll be having some topics to guide. And that topic to guide us majorly is what are the impacts of democracy, security, using politics to join it together as they want. And then if we have some negative, because we will say more negative impacts. Now, this bad impact, so to say, what will be the solutions? So many. But implementation, as I said, is very germane. There are keywords into this. But let me go straight to the introduction. As we have from the convener, this convocation is designed for majorly two things. To be a former assembly of intelligent citizens of this country like you and I, and also to address whatever our discussion as a unique idea or unique ideas, maybe one or more, on how to solve this myriad of problems that are unlimited facing our nation Nigeria, and passing it to necessary quarters through news, through papers and programs that will be sent forward. However, two major keywords are important: democracy and security. Democracy and security are the authoritative source for rigorous exploration of the mechanisms and policies utilized by the democracy itself to deal with security challenges as one challenge. God will give you understanding. As well as relevant moral, social, and political dilemmas. We will sit up on that. So don't forget we are looking at democracy and security. And there's no way you consider democracy and security when it's not the military in power, politics was coming. So what is politics really? Politics, I define politics as activities associated with the governance of a country, with interaction and debate between parties having power, not the masses. It's also activities aimed at improving the status of the community members in the state, in a special location or specified location. What do I mean? Let's go to Nigerian politics, maybe that would be better, because I'm looking from Nigeria out how we play our politics. So let me be sincere to myself. Politics in Nigeria takes place within the framework of federal state, nothing called local government, nothing called communities. Even what we are talking about geopolitical zones is downtoned in our own type of Nigerian politics. So Nigerian politics takes place within the framework of the federal and state majorly, in which there are 3 tiers of government, which we all know: executive, the legislative, and the judiciary. Now, the Nigerian type of politics can be said to be a set of activities that are associated with making decisions in groups. It could be in House of Assembly, it could be in Senate, it could be in House of Rep, it could be meeting of governors, it could be meetings of parties that are in power, maybe X, Y, Z party. I don't want to mention any party's name. X, Y party in charge of Ondo State, Ilorin State, Ibadan State, and meeting the one in Kaduna State, the Kaduna Katsina State, and the rest like that. Now, this set of activities are shaped with their decisions, not minding the masses. Their parties, they even sit and choose where they go and live in sitting. Maybe they sit once or twice in a week and they go for 3 months leave. And other forms of power related among individuals, that one person that they want to bless his interest. That's the type of Nigerian politics. So I'm trying to mention this so that by the time we come into solutions or the problem, the threats, we're able to have the light of what I'm saying. Now, democracy is different from politics. The true democracy is a system of governance where power rests with the people. When I say the people, I'm not saying those in power. Those in power are supposed to be messengers. When you say you are a senator, permit me to go into that image, or you are a House of Rep, you go to represent the people as an agent. So you are a messenger, not to do it. Well, let me continue, we'll go into that details more. Now, democracy is a system of governance where power rests with the people who exercise it directly or through free elected representatives at different levels of power control, from the grassroots to the federal. Different levels, chosen by the people at all times. Now, democracy is also a form of government or governance where citizens have the authority to participate in major decision making, not by autocratic or dictatorship form. So generally, the office is known to be rule of the people, by the people, chosen by the people, for the people. That is what democracy is supposed to be. Now, what is the purpose of this democracy? The main purpose of democracy is to establish the protection. No other major thing. Every other thing is active. Main purpose is to establish the protection of individuals, the rights of the masses, and then give them social justice through fair and free election or elections. It is also to ensure that chosen individual to go up there in government work collectively, they are there to reflect the goodwill of the majority while also representing the minority rights. Now, when we are talking about geopolitical zone, my understanding that I want us to look at geopolitical zone is the masses and the communities that are the atoms of geopolitical zones. Because when you say put them in south-south, southeast, east-west, northwest, that is not really ideal. Look at each, maybe Alagbaka, what is Alagbaka 1? You have community secretary, chairman of the community. Before we go to local government, so those communities are the direct people that are reaching out to the masses. These are the ones that said geopolitical zones in Nigeria, and they have their own peculiarity that is known to them in that individual settlement. Now, talking about geopolitical zone again, the masses should be allowed to defend themselves, mostly in critical areas of threat and insurgents that is related and peculiar to them. I'm making this little definition so that by the time we go into threats and solutions, we're going to join them together. Now, the main security. Simply put, security is just being free from danger or threat in any form, in a place of work or whatever, or in the country, in the community, anywhere you are. Security also covers safety and free existence of lives and properties from both internal and external threats. It empowers empowerment of the political men and women in authority. If it gives stability, it will reflect good governance. That is, if security is in place politically, it will give stability and good governance for them to enjoy their activities. Now, there are so many types of security, just mentioning a few here. Educational security, which is the major problem of this country. Ignorance is a disease. Knowledge is power. Majority of the masses we are talking about are ignorant. When they are suffering, they shouted. When somebody like me comes to their community and give them 5,000 naira to put me in power for the next 10 years, they accept and they vote me. It's because there is no education. They are not thinking about the future. There is no encouragement. So some people in power use education to weaken the masses, to be able to put them under control. So educational security, very, very important. There's also food security. I remember in those days, in the military, we used food security to suppress a particular section in this country, the East. Not that they couldn't get the necessary support in the Biafran war. But the food security was restrained when they were hungry. You have to buy. There's also what we call food security. There's human rights. Oh, that one is too common in this country. Many don't even know the law. They don't know what law, what right they have. Imagine that people go to a simple thing. You are traveling, you are on the road, then the vehicle stops you, start checking your tire expiration date, and you are begging him. Human rights security, you must know your rights. Economic security, you have money, no food to buy. So whoever has the food will make you to do it well. Militant security. The youth are subjected to different pension and employment. There's no way the minimum wage can sustain them, and yet they are not getting the minimum wage because of employment. So therefore, they now try to block the streets and block vehicles and say, pay us some money. That is the work security too. Civil security, local security, so many like that because of time. And then let us also remember that there is what we call power line against the right of masses. There are those that are in power. They work on the ignorance of the masses, they right in power to do what they want. But they don't know that they are sitting on the gambling wall. We'll see that later. Now, let's join democracy and security together since we now understand, so that we go to the main domain. Democracy is not political. Let me clear that. Security too is not political. But when it comes to a woman, no matter, even if you are in your own family, you must be democratic about your type of security you have, depending on your needs and what you have. That is the amount of materials at your privilege and information that you have. So when we talk about democracy and security, it is the government of the people, for the people, by the people, chosen by the people, which is democracy. They are expected to focus majorly on the safety of life. No matter what you are deciding in power, you must let it be behind your mind that safety of life first. Now, another thing is Diana, forgive me for that. Thank you. Now, another thing we need to focus on outside the safety of life is the safety of properties. You have your car, you have your house, you are going out, your life is safe, but you are not sure of coming back to meet your items, then there is no security. So whatever you are doing, you are not settled to want to do that thing. So safety of properties under the authoritarian jurisdiction of each leader that can be seen as geopolitical zone due to segmented differences. And then you must be willing to engage the masses, I mean the youth generally, in gainful thinking and action, because the main problem of security, majorly, is from the youth. And that is why former president said our youth are lazy. What he was referring to, because I was privileged to be in one of the meetings with them, in the military then, the youth are supposed to be their future leaders. They are supposed to stand their ground in some areas, but you are found, you are not found coming the way they should. Let me just stop there with that issue. Our politics on security. They turn people we elect and put in power. They play with security to want to make gainful, selfish means for themselves. That shouldn't be. Security in democracy should not be toyed with in any form. Democracy will become a threat to the geopolitical. When I say geopolitical, I'm talking about communities, establishments, maybe maximally the local government. Democracy will become a threat to the geopolitical leaders if the masses became insecure. A time will come, push them to the wall, they react in insurgents, in diverse actions, in rowdy activities that are illegal. We need to remember that. Also, the moment free movement across cities and villages becomes a threat, both day and night, the political leaders become worthless, not recognized, and they themselves they become insecure, no matter the guard, or entourage, or army, or the uniformed people that are surrounding them, yet they are not safe. Our politics on security will therefore need to be taken serious in this country, Nigeria, as politics and political actions can be used to improve or destroy the nation's security. What are the threats? So many. I just mentioned few here: robbery, assassination, kidnapping, religious insecurity, unemployment, murder, impersonation, rituals, rigging, and so on and so forth. But now, what are the impacts? Few impacts that I can lay my hands upon of this threat. This threat, what has it led us to? Where are we finding ourselves today? May I tell us, there is lack of trust on our electorates. On our elected leaders by the electorates. We put them in power, either we are forced to vote them in, or we willingly vote them in, we quickly lose trust in them because of their attitude and their mentality. Insecurity leads to health challenges of different stages across the board. When I say health challenges, it's not necessarily falling sick per se in the body. Financial health challenge, work health challenge. Everything is not really working because the people elected do not know their duty. They went there thinking, some people jubilate exceedingly that they are in power. Why they should be afraid, hey, Lord help me to do this work as expected. They see it as their family. Some want to even put their son or daughter on power of their brother. They see it as family establishment. Those are part of the threats we are seeing. And that has led to poverty of the majority, which is so clearly visible to everyone to see. Then, lack of sense of belonging. There are Nigerians who don't feel they are Nigerians. There are people that are saying that the money is there. I was privileged, just like a little digress. I was privileged 1979, 1980. I was in Parapoly studying metallurgy. And being from Osun State, Asia in particular, I was asked to join the miners to go and check the gold deposit as at 1980. And we came back with a few sensors and equipment to discover that the gold on the surface, the gold raw material on the surface ground, not in the ground yet, because we couldn't assess the maturity of the depth of the gold. But the one we saw at Timon area, as the location in relation, we assessed it as at 1980. That if Nigerian population was 150,000 then, 150 million then, a Nigerian will be paid from baby, as long as you are in Nigeria that you are living, you will be collecting 100,000 naira for the next 100 years, all of us. So that time when money was money. Yet, we have the vet, so there's bitumen in Russia. Uranium in Sokoto, because as a metallurgy, material science is my work. It's more than enough to establish missiles and bombs in the military and even aircraft. which a little leakage of the pie goes to Niger, which Niger today is relying on majorly. Meanwhile, the real deposit is in Sokoto State. There is no state in this country that does not have a deposit. Maybe because we are so wealthy, that's why we are so lazy. I'm sorry to use that language. So now, poverty becomes so visible. Why? We don't have people that can operate well. And those that feel that are in their midst that can operate well are afraid of their life. If I talk now, I'll be killed. And when he talks and he comes out, the manager says, yes, you are saying the right thing. When they see the powerful financial-based men and women appearing, they withdrew immediately. And becomes elite in the whole world. So lack of sense of belonging, and that makes the youth to now become insubordinated, and they become Regular training of the security personnel by each geopolitical zone should be adhered to strongly. As modern technology is being advancing and it's becoming a trend in some area that even the hooligans, the idiots that are causing trouble, they are more good than our own personnel that are military people that are maintaining peace. So the use of technology surveillance like drones and robotic flights with cameras should be introduced into our locality. Well, why they won't introduce is that the roots of most of this our problem of maybe insurgents or if you dig well is one power pin in the up there that is in charge. So if we put camera or we are checking security, I want to even ask a question maybe towards the end of this if I remember. I will not us to discuss. Direct order should be given to the military. I want to let us know with sincere due respect to the leadership of government. No direct power has ever been given to military for any attack. If direct power is given to military, you mean we are fighting other countries and winning? You mean we can't face insurgents? There are instructions from above. Don't do this. You have to release him. Ensure traitors and saboteurs are not supplied with food and ammunition. How are those people getting ammunition? How are they making it? How are they surviving? The weapons they are carrying is sometimes more sophisticated. How did they get it to them? It's not a miracle that it drops from heaven. It was transported by air. And we have airports that monitors every aircraft. Let's be sincere to ourselves. Effective monitoring of projects that is being handled by people. I noticed one thing, I don't know whether you know it yet, but also what I want to be not. The streets, the roads in the middle of the town, in Kaduna in particular, is 9 inches thick. Between Idesha and Abuja, the road is nonsense. It's not up to 3 inches thick. One way is on the same country. So we should have good monitoring of our project. Nigeria, because that's our security. Nigerian constitution is outdated. It's too central. It should be broken down into pieces that the community decide their constitution that is convenient and comfortable for them. The people deciding our constitution that we are writing bylaws that are confirming our laws. If it doesn't satisfy them, they won't attend to it. They consider their salary first. Effective tracing of ransom payment. Ransoms are being paid. Where does the money come from? Where did they enter? Should be employed to curb financial insecurity. Each geopolitical zone and community should be allowed to set up security rules peculiar to their own locality, and this should be approved by the government. All visitors into each locality or community should be identified with their pictures and necessities by the candidates, the obas, the areas, and the chairman of each community. Then let there be decentralization of localization. Let there be decentralization and localization of security control. Let us enforce that and see what will happen. The instant judgment on security suspects be ensued or be pursued without favoritism. I witnessed a case in this Ondo State, Akure. Olori Odo, one guy from Obale area also, arrested some youth for his behavior. The guy told him, there are some people that they should be. Then there was a case of a lawyer that was threatened. You have to leave that now. Because the criminal that was he went to say this guy is a thief, he should also be killed. And then he was finally given life imprisonment. Somehow he escaped and he was given pardon. And then he came out. He went straight to that lawyer. He got pardoned. So how do you expect someone to defend people in future? So in those days, I mean, sure criminal should be executed and be killed off. That will teach others lesson. Order from above is too much in this country. It should be discouraged. Leadership in power should be made to respect the oath they swear in. In fact, I am suggesting that we should be using Ogun and Shango to be swearing in their name. It's faster than the Quran and Bible. The masses should be enlightened and educated on their roles in God. I want to really appreciate you all for listening. But party politics by individual in power should be dropped and replace the policies on security where masses being represented feel that they are there, they are not saying they don't do the right thing. Please, thank you all for listening.
Thank you so much. Wow. That was a lot.
Thank you, sir.
Where are the cameras? So you may not be picked up. frequencies of Crest FM. So I'm sure that there is documentation of this voice, and it's definitely going to go out. Thank you so much once again. Please let's put our hands together for him. Dr. Stephen Olariwaju, thank you so much. All right, without wasting our time at all, I would like to bring up Dr. Abimbola. This is also going to be another very interesting session because, again, these are critical areas in Nigeria today. We can't talk about Nigeria without talking about some critical sectors. So this is very, very important, and that's why this time, or this, do I call it, session, this particular session is also as critical as the one that we just had. Raphael Olubenga Abimbola is a public relations consultant and university don who teaches mass communication at the Adekule Ajashi University, Akubakoko. He is also a training consultant to United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, and the Nigerian Press Council, NPC. He holds a bachelor's, master's, and doctoral degrees in communication arts from the University of Ibadan. He belongs to several professional bodies, including Fellow Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, NIPR, member African Council for Communication Education, ACCE, member Association of Communication Scholars and Professionals of Nigeria, ACSPN, member Nigeria Union of Journalists, NUJ, and Fellow Institute of Corporate Administration of Nigeria, ICANN. He was the chairman, editorial board of the Hope newspapers, Akure 2018 to 2024. He was also a member of the Governing Council of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations between 2014 and 2023, and also chairman, board of trustees, Face the Voter Initiative, organizers of the 2020 Ondo State Governorship Elections debate. He is the current acting head, Department of Mass Communication at Chivas University, where he is observing his sabbatical leave. He's also married to Aderoke, and their marriage is blessed with children. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's my honor to invite here Dr. Raphael Olubenga Abimbola. Okay, so it's also very important that I remind us that this is a convocation, just as we know. Our questions by now should be not just in our minds, we should pen them down so that we do not forget. I know we already have questions from the first session, and questions from this session as well can be noted. Thank you very much. Is Dr. ready for us?
Yes, just a moment.
Okay, DJ.
Okay.
I'm quite inquisitive you. I'm curious at the same time. I don't know why our head of station has chosen to relocate. Please.
I was just a placeholder.
Okay. DJ, please.
some technical challenges, but I think we can start. So we follow the slides as I progress. I want to thank the organizers, thank my brother, and thank our host, our CEO, and my co-guest speakers, and all my colleagues here, my colleagues from the media, and ladies and gentlemen. I am asked to speak on a title which says our politics on education. So whether it can sustain our democracy. So have you got each? So I have two opening statements to make before we go to the slides. So the first thing that I want to ask us, I want us to take these 2 or 3 posers. One, the first one is this: please, education. Does education guarantee riches and wealth? Anybody? That if one is educated, is it guaranteed that one will be rich and wealthy? If you say yes, say yes. If you say no, say no. If you don't know, say I don't know. What about yes? What about yes and no? What about yes and no? No, you can't be. What about yes and no? Okay, if your own is yes and no, say yes and no. Yes and no. Yes and no. Okay.
Yes to wealth, no to riches. Sir, what is the definition of education?
Okay, we will come to it. Okay, that if somebody is educated, does it guarantee that that person will be rich? Have you got it? Okay, have you got it? The second one is that is education a scam?
No.
Let's be sincere.
No.
Is education really a scam? Okay, have you already given me my laptop so that I can answer? Okay, talk from it. So education is not a scam. Okay. Now, does education waste one's time in life? At least, does it slow you down from climbing fast, from achieving your potentials?
When we know what education is,
It depends.
when we know your definition of education,
Okay.
education is different from yours.
Okay.
So when we know
All right. Okay, thank you. Now let's go to education. Yeah, someone said it depends on the definition of education. Now, education simply put is the totality of your awareness, the totality of your awareness of your environment that makes you to relate well with that environment. That is education. That is my own definition of education. The totality of your awareness of the environment which enables you to relate well with that environment.
Yes.
Now, experts, they have given us that education can be two extremes, the formal one and the non-formal one. So when we talk about formal education, we'll be talking about education that occurs in schools. I'm a teacher. So if you go to nursery, primary, secondary, university, what are you doing? You are doing a formal education. And in that case, you are going to be certificated. I've once interviewed my colleague from the local municipal world, I don't know what I'm saying, the person. I've once interviewed a high contender for Ladies 2 in Akure more than 20 years ago, 20-something years ago. They accused him that he was not educated. When I interviewed, he said, Mr. Jonas, I am educated but not certificated. That was the first time I heard that English. I said, wow. So, and I gave it to him because it takes somebody who's educated to know that he was educated but not certificated. Then we have the second, the other extreme of education, we call it non-formal. When we talk about non-formal, we are talking about education that doesn't occur in the classroom setting, but education that occurs informally, that occurs that you do. There is no the enrollment is fluid. It's not regimented. Then the number of period we are going to spend is flexible. If you are enrolled to spend 2 years, if you are still learning and you have not completed, it may take you to about 6 years. If you are enrolled and you sign with your boss, like you're going to spend 2 years, if after 1 year you have mastered it and you have the money for freedom, then you can also be allowed. Okay, so are you able to? All right, don't worry, you can end control from there. So please, now these are we have defined education, and let's go. Please go to the next slide. Let us go straight. So now, when we are talking about this formal education we are talking about, please listen. Experts, Bloom, since 1960 something, have told us that if you go for formal education, whether at basic level or tertiary level or middle level, for you to be educated, there are 3 domains of learning. We have the cognitive, the affective, and the psychomotor. So what do we mean? Cognitive means education that is occurring in your mental capacity, your brain work, the theoretical aspect. These exams you are doing, writing, reading, and all the rest. That is one aspect of education. So if somebody is educated cognitively, if he is a graduate, he should be able to defend his certificate. Are you listening to me? When you ask him basic questions, he should be able to answer. That is cognitive. The second domain is affective. That has to do with your behavior, your character. Education is not about your head knowledge alone. It's also about your character, who you are. So if you have education, you should be able to relate well with people. Somebody who is well educated, who is a graduate and call him a graduate, will not, because he has entered into a very academy and someone offended him, he will throw off his shirt and begin to box. No. Affective domain means he should be able to control his emotions. Somebody who is educated will not be on the bus in the town. He will eat the corn and throw the shuku on the road. That person is not educated. Yes, affective domain. And that is why those of us in the university, though we deceive ourselves in the university, when we want to convert the degree, we will say this person has been found all the first. We talk about affective character. Then we now talk about learning. But in most cases, they don't have a character. So I will still award them the degree. The third one is psychomotor. That one is skill. Somebody has graduated, I taught him mass communication, and my brother, everybody that taught him and press FM, and asked him to write the news. He sent me an assignment. I came out to write what I used when I was in minutes of last meeting. So that person, so the education is not complete. He doesn't have the skill. And that is the problem with the Nigerian education system. What we are doing now is mass production. We are just mass producing people. And that is why a few of them have cognitive, many don't have affective, and many don't have the skills. Is that the next slide, please? Now, so this was what I have talked about in the next slide. Please, literacy and education, are they the same? No. And that is what my brother was asking the other time. Literacy has to do with relating with books, how to read, how to write, how to talk, how to speak. But education is the all-round that I discussed earlier on. And that is why, when we are talking that during elections, that because people are not educated, that's why they collect money. But we have some graduates, we do have some teachers, some lecturers that collect 5,000 now. I mean, it means they are literate, they are not illiterate. Literacy is different from education. Literacy is part of education, but education is broader than literacy. Next slide, please. Now, so politics and governance. Our guy on security has spoken about politics, about governance. But I just want us to know that politics has to do with sharing of resources. managing resources. That is what the problem with Nigerian politics, I will still go there briefly, is that we have demonized politics. And so we have given up that already good of politics. Somebody who is good, somebody who is principled, must never go into politics. And we resort to prayers in the churches and mosques. So, and those that are going there, they are all guru. So how can our prayer make more guru to give us good governance? So the goal of politics is good governance. But in Nigeria, we are having bogus government or very lean governance. Next slide. Now, the Nigerian politics, he also talked about Nigerian politics. But he says it's majorly parochial and is defined by both deep ethnic and just ethnic. We all agree with that. So now it's a game. Politics shouldn't be a game. Politics should be a service. But in Nigeria, it's a game. This game is, we call it a game of chess and pawn. That you put your money, if you want to go into politics, they will ask you, do you have money that you can waste? You can close your eyes to. If you don't have it, don't. If you say to a rich, you say, can you afford to throw your money to the ocean? You remember our Papa Adebu, where people consulted in those days, you tell them, I've seen a commissioner in Ondo State. The woman told me that when she went to Baba Adebu that, Baba, I want to contest. Say, Baba asked her 3 questions. Say, Shawu, Tọ́ba Dasoku tí wàá gbàgbé. Ìkejì, Ṣọ́ọ̀lì Promoter ọkọ̀ dúró tì í. Ìkẹta, I'm telling you. Now, please, so that is the nature of Nigerian politics. Please don't go yet. Please, let's look at how my brother is my brother. We are from the same town, Professor Oluwaleyemi. This is how he defines our own brand of democracy. Because democracy and politics, as you rightly said, they are different. He says Nigerian brand of democracy is a government that is off OFF, that is outside of the people, of the people, thereby purchase the people, then force the people. If this man is a political scientist, is a professor of political science, that is how he defined Nigerian politics. Now, do we have democracy in Nigeria? I've said it, I'm not sure we have civil rule, but we don't have democracy. Because everything that makes democracy is lacking. What makes democracy? These institutions, we call them the pillars of democracy. Number 1, rule of law. The rule of law only applies to the masses. It doesn't apply to the powerful. There is no rule of law. Number 2, party system. In Nigeria, we don't have political parties. We have only one party. That is the party of the politicians, having different colors. Because where you have party system, parties are governed by ideology. Ideology will dictate what you believe and your manifesto. But today, somebody will be in the APC tomorrow, PDP the next day, another party the other day, and they will fit in because they don't have, there is nothing different from what they believe in and what you believe in. They have only thing they believe in, how to share the national gain, corruption, they package that word. So let's go to the next slide. Let's come back to where we are now. I'm not defining use because my topic is to talk about how education can give our youth potentials in this democracy. Nigeria is 65 years today, thank God. But our Daniel spoke about security, said he even called Nigeria 60 years old and engaged because according to him, he believed that we are not as mature as somebody who is 65 years because of what we have. Now, youth, there is no accurate definition. I just tried, United Nations says if anybody is between 15 and 24 is a youth. But the Commonwealth says 15 to 29, you are a youth. The African Union says 50 to 35, you are a youth. But the Nigerian youth policy, the latest one says if you are between 18 and 35, you are a youth. But we also have some political parties that make 40-something year old people their youth coordinator. Youth leader. So now potential means having the capacity to develop into something in the future. Now let's go to the next slide. Yes. Now, Nigerian politics and education. Just like politics affects security, politics also affects education. And politics affects anything you can name on. Now, there are the history. I don't want to bore you with history. We had education before the Western people came. That's what many people don't know. This education, this Western education, it has given us both the good, the bad, and the ugly. Now, when they came and they started dealing with us, the church people, they brought schools, then they started what we call Western education in 1882, not 1882. There was what they called education ordinance before they amalgamated Nigeria. The Northern Territory, the Southern Territory, then up to when we gained independence, we started on that footing in the 1970s during Obasanjo and Mutada. They started what they call universal primary education, and that's what the people today call UPE. Then in the 1980s, there was 6334 when Babangida was president. 334 education system, but in 2025. Just about 2 months ago, they have revised again. So you have seen that we have, our policy has undergone changes and transformation in the hands of political authorities. Let's go to the next slide. Nigeria. So now, how do we go back, please? Okay, yeah, go to the next slide. Politicization of education in Nigeria. So I said that politics influences everything in Nigeria. I cannot separate education from it. So you can see that I love what you presented to us that we have only 2 tiers of government. People will call it 3 tiers. The 3 tiers is federal, state, and local. What you are calling tiers, you will have called it arms of government, executive, legislature, and judiciary. But the tiers, we have only 2. Because the local governments, except in a few states, maybe Lagos and 1 or 2 other states, local governments are dead. If I ask all of us who are here now, how many of us know the name of the councillors representing us? Those of us living in those states, there was an election. I mean, it wasn't this year or last year. This year, it's still fresh. But how many of you know the name of the councillor representing your ward? So, because I was saying before the election, I said election or no election, anybody who comes to local government will be loyal to the government, not to the people. Because they were there at the pleasure of the government. Is it your vote that brought them there? So now, so we can see that, and that is why the over-centralization of our constitution has affected our education. Federal government will still be legislating on primary school through UBEC. They want the curriculum of primary school from Okara Damoda and I left for showing our friends local government there to be the same. Those of us who have traveled around this country, all the states, those of us who have done it, you know that what divides us is more than what unites us. But we want Tinubu came to say that let's come back to the old national anthem that gave us, that didn't pretend that we don't have diversity. But they have given us that anthem, we are singing it now, but our mind is not there, and the government is not practicing it. He said, no tribe and dog may differ, in probably we stand. But that difference of tribe and tongue, we are not playing it in our politics. In terms of structure of governance, everything is centralized in the federal government. Next slide. Now, what are the effects? Number one, I will just run through because when we have technical reaches, it has been taken our time. There is policy some and such. You bear with me that if government comes up with fresh policy, what is our problem? Look at this country. Do you know that most of us in the university is a serious, we have a big problem in our hands? Because those that we are recruiting, those we are admitting, many of them are bad products and they are not training. When I was young, when I was in the primary school and secondary school, in those days, I used to look up, if anybody is an undergraduate in the university, it's like that person, you don't know, Because before you enter university in those days, in the 70s, in the 80s, you don't leave secondary school and go to the university. You will go to 2 years of furnace, baptism of fire, that they call A-levels. And when you do that A-levels and you pass, when you now enter the university, you cannot but do well. But today, they cancelled it. They said, immediately after secondary school, go directly to the university. We even have babies in the university now. Some of them, they are, when I got admission to the University of Ibadan, my parents, my people, they never knew University of Ibadan until the day of my convocation. That was where they got there. But today, it's the parents that will buy the form, the parents will carry the baby to the JAM exam center, and the baby will go and do long leg to get admission, and some parents will even go and do registration for their children in the university. So, policy somersault, we begin to change policy. The other time they said 16 years is too, whatever, it's not 18. Now they said let's go back to 16. All the same. Now, poor funding, you will see that in Nigeria, any government that comes has its own agenda for education. Some of the programs, now look at states are even the worst. States. Look at state governments. You will see that if somebody establishes a university, it is no longer the governor. When another person becomes governor, he will abandon. There is a university in Ondo State that was abandoned by 8 years of somebody who was governor. That is the University of Kupa. Until when Akeredolu came, he started doing something there. So that is to let you know that politics is very, very bad. It affects our education more than we can imagine. I hope you can hear my voice. Then, dysfunctional curriculum. This one, I want us to really apply our mind to it. Because of politics, we have leaders, I call them dealers. Our political leaders, they are dealers. They don't know, they don't have the love of this country. Do you know what they are doing? The British, the Europeans, they came, they have studied us. They knew that if they allow us to have the right curriculum, they will not dominate us forever. What did they do? The first thing they did was that they imposed their own language on us. That's the language I'm speaking now. English don't be my papa language. I mean, they imposed it, and by that success of theirs, they have colonized us forever. Even our children yet unborn. Do you know that that language, and experts have told us that everybody learns faster in your mother tongue. But they imposed that language. Even when they were living, they still left us. They were even better than our. Do you know what we're having now? Our leaders today, they are worse than colonial masters. Because during colonial people, if you go to school from primaries 1 to 3, they will teach you in your mother tongue. But today, even from nursery, and English they go blow to that child. So that one had made us to be cut off from our roots. That is number one. Number two, the curriculum. You see some private schools, even at secondary school, they will say our curriculum is American standard, British standard. I say that's stupid. Why? Our curriculum is not meant to solve our problem. Those English curriculum, European curriculum, they are based on their own experience problem. They are using to solving their own problems, and we are copying them, and we are not doing anything. Those of us in the university, sometimes I say university education in Nigeria, that is university system, the way we run our university, that the vice chancellors, the leaders of universities in Nigeria, they are not doing us any good. If you want to gain promotion, to move up the ladder, so they say you must publish. Either you publish or you perish. Now, listen, that publication, they will say onshore, offshore. I've never seen any American university say, I will promote you because you didn't publish in Europe, you didn't publish in Africa. But in Nigeria, they will say you must publish more in their journals than in our own journals. And the implication is this: because they have colonized us, we are also helping them to kill our economy. The first thing is that most of those articles we are writing in their journals, they look at it with their own eyes, with their own economy, and with their own culture. If it doesn't mean they will throw it away. So we want to write to please them and leave our own. That is number one. Number two, if you want to publish in their journal, when you calculate, there are some journal, one article That's why 2, 4, 5 people will now join together because it's over 1 million to publish one article in their journal. Whereas all our local publishers were killing the journals here. You can see the dysfunctional system in our education. So we are now not mounting courses and teaching people in our own language, in our own culture that can help. Let's go to the next slide. Now, poor leadership. You all know that even if it is government, you cannot be a leader if you don't have. Somebody was telling me, is it today, that a school principal in this state, in Akure, I won't mention the school, that the person is in the same school. She told me that she just got to know only yesterday that their new principal paid 2 million to bribe so that they could transfer him to their school, because that school is very big. And they will say that, oh, that is corruption, plenty money. Yes. Yes. Even, I'm telling you, 2 million. They give one principal. It's not that he has become principal, he's already principal in his school, but he wants to go to a bigger school. He now used 2 million to bribe. So you can now imagine what will happen at university for somebody to be vice chancellor of a government university. If you are not the candidate of the governor, you cannot, whether you are the best scholar in that place. So the federal universities, I've seen some people, they will go to Abuja, spend money, yeah, they will still not appoint them. I was on the panel to conduct interview. They wanted to hire 2 years ago at FUTA. They wanted to hire, I won't mention the positions, but 2 managerial positions. So I was invited as a consultant. And when I got there, the vice chancellor, the first thing she had, they said, where are the people from the federal character? And I said, what has the federal character got to do with this? They said, because every appointment, they must balance of the geopolitical zones. They must balance it. How can FUTA here? You must be considering that before you employ one person, you must consider whether there are people from the north, from the whatever, to also come and join. Don't worry, I will round up. Even if you want me to round up now, I will round up. So now, please, double standards in recruitment of staff and students. You know what I mean by double standard is this. Those of us who have our children, if you want your child to go to unity schools, federal unity schools, the criteria for admitting somebody from Imo State or those states is different from the criteria to admit somebody from Kaduna or Jigawa. Abi? Yes. If somebody scores 34% over there, they get admission. If somebody scores 72% here, he may not get the same school. That is double criteria. And all these things. Even in the universities, it is only the University of Ibadan, or since they started up to today, that it doesn't have a catchment area. When you talk about catchment area, educationally less developed states, these are all corruption. They are breeding mediocrity that let us carry everybody along. So now, you also look at less or no attention on technical education. In Nigeria, what we are doing now is that in India, I said it on national television during our election last year, that India turned about 300 universities back to polytechnics. You think the university is the only one that can solve our problem? We are joking. Now, most of the technology we are talking about, it must be from the grassroots. Our technical colleges, they are there. In those days, if you graduate from technical college or government technical college or you're sitting and give, you will get job in Canada, you will get job anywhere in the world. They will be looking for you. But today, we don't have such. No technical colleges there. Even polytechnics, they now turn them to the where they are wanting degree. Colleges in their own degree. And that is why I said, so we now overrate certificates above knowledge and skills. So what is certificate in your hand? It's not what you know, it is what you have. I used to tell them, I said, get that certificate because that is what will open the door. But what you keep you inside the room will be the skill that acquire. Next slide, Oga. 3 more minutes. Yes. Now, so what do we do? So for us to make our education to give you the potential, first thing, please, we must build values and we must lead by example. Those who are leading. If I'm a lecturer, I thank God I have been teaching, after I have worked as a journalist for about 10 years, I've been teaching in the university for about 20 years now. No student can tell me that I have collected money or I have asked anybody to do anything for my advantage before you can pass or get more people from me. If you are under my project supervision, I can never collect anything from you. Because why money? You say you cannot appreciate me because you are reducing me. But if you are out of the system, you have graduated, you don't need any favor from me again. If you come from your NYC or you have got a job, if you buy anything, I will collect. The other one is appreciation. Yes. But today, some parents don't even believe that somebody can be in the university and not bribe lecturers and go scot-free. So we must build values and live by example. We must desist from changing policies like ladies change wardrobes. The way we are changing educational policies, like how ladies are changing their wardrobes, then we must address funding. Then we must make our curriculum attractive, domesticated, and skills-oriented. In Nigerian universities today, the same with secondary, all levels of education, do you know that cognitive takes about 70%? The continuous assessment is just about 30%. So which means almighty exam, that cannot take us anywhere. If somebody can use exam to practicalize, why would she should pass more than somebody who can only cite in books. But today, our exams, they only test our technology, they don't test our practicals. So that's what I mean. Then we must appoint capital heads to lead ahead of our institutions. Then merit must govern recruitment of staff and students. If somebody is not working, don't employ. If somebody, the way we recruit our students, we determine. Look at some courses that are highly competitive. Medicine, law, math. If you see most of the students, they do well. Why? Because the recruitment process is very competitive. But when you see some other courses where you know what you are, anything you have, enter. And that is why you begin to mass use them. Let's take the second to the last slide. So, the emphasize about qualification and upscale. Today, I don't know, we need this thing we are talking about. I'm talking about what government should do. Somebody who is reasoning, he should know that having master's degree, BSc, is not the point we are looking for in Nigeria. We should de-emphasize paper qualification. We must talk about somebody who can put something on the table and let that person be promoted. Take him up, give him space, give him leadership, let him lead, let him do one thing or the other, not about the time again. So, tackle corruption. Then, I talked about corruption. There should be no sacred cows when we are talking about corruption in our schools. We must pay more attention to technical education. We must adapt technology to teaching and learning. Because our youth, all this book. Somebody says you want to hide anything from Nigeria, you put it in a book. But if you want them to know anything, put it on your phone. So we must make sure that we adapt technology to teaching. Otherwise, they will follow us. So let me stop there. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Please, you can do better than that. Interestingly, education remains one aspect that we cannot stop talking about everywhere. I've been in a situation before. I'm sure that I can also ask questions during the panel session. Okay. Because again, we meet people every day. I've been in a newsroom before where people come for IT and they don't know basic questions. Someone walks up to me to say, I'm here for IT, and it was a public holiday, and I said, you have to come back on a work day. And the graduate, or what should I say, and the graduate was asking me, making no tell what of the day. So these are the issues that we have. These are the issues that we have. We're going to move on. It's a well-packed event today, and it's very interesting that we are not just going to focus on one side, we are focusing on all the sides. And this is moving on to my industry. It's such a privilege to bring up my yoga at the top. This beautiful afternoon, we're in the afternoon already. I'll be bringing up our COO right about now. And is no other than the biggest boy on radio. Wait, let me farabalẹ̀ to read your Adeoluweda is a Nigerian broadcaster and media executive known for his prominent radio presence in the southwestern region of Nigeria. He began his broadcasting career roughly 2 decades ago, starting at the Ekiti State Broadcasting Service, and over time has worked with a variety of radio and television stations across the southwest region. Adeoluweda is widely known for hosting the Yoruba radio program Magbala, a show that blends Yoruba content with elements meant to appeal to younger listeners. In his current role, he serves as Chief Operating Officer, COO of Crest Hills Media Group, owners of Crest FM Akure, Crest FM Ibadan, Crest Media Academy, and other ventures. He is often referred to by the brand name BER, Biggest Boy on Radio, and is considered one of the most influential voices in the State's broadcast industry. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, the biggest boy on radio.
Thank you very much. That introduction sounded like something from Meta AI. All right, it's a pleasure to stand here this beautiful afternoon to speak alongside various esteemed personalities that I have very great respect for. And most importantly, I've been asked to talk about my industry, our role in what we call democracy in Nigeria. I say what we call because Nigeria has a very funny brand of democracy. But I think Professor Larry Luademi has done justice to what we do in Nigeria. So quickly, let's look at our politics and the media space in Nigeria, the impacts, positive and negative, then the solutions too. Quickly, let me take us through to the very business. What is the media? It refers to the channels or means of mass communication. This encompasses various platforms used to transmit information, really. We have the radio, we have the television. Now, the new media is also a very potent platform for transmitting information. And basically, the duty is to inform, educate, entertain. However, the media has a strong social and cultural impact on the society because the media can, change narratives. The media has a very strong power to ensure that this morning you may be thinking A, and in the next 1 hour, the media has that power to change your thinking faculty to B in the space of even 1 minute. That's how strong the media is. The media's primary duty is to present us with information and alert us with important events that occur. The information that affects what we think and the actions we take. The media can engage in what is called agenda setting. Very important to come back to that. Next slide. Media and politics in Nigeria have actually come a long way. The Nigerian National Democratic Party, which is the first political party in Nigeria, premised its road on the media to be able to push what they believe in at that time. And of course, there was a newspaper in Lagos called the Lagos Daily Newspaper. This first political party in Nigeria came to be on June 24, 1923 by Albert Macaulay, the party's first leader. Now, enough for the newspaper at that time, the ideology, that was when political parties actually had ideologies anyway. The ideologies of that political party would not have been able to get into the hearts of the people at that time. But the first political party in Nigeria made use of the media to be able to pass this across. It means that right from the very beginning of our political growth in Nigeria, the media has been present. Next slide. Now, what is the role of the media in a democracy? We have, I will talk about two things per se. the normative roles of media, including providing information to all who listen to the news, and we expect the media to provide us with up-to-date news. Now, the second one is the monitorial role, which involves practices such as publishing reports, agendas and threats, reporting political, social, and economic decisions. For instance, this morning, Mr. President came and gave a speech, and I think I was joking with the head of station, and I said, these days, Mr. President rubs his achievements on our faces. Either you like it or not, the worst is over. This and that. But if those things are true, then we can begin to say that Nigeria is recovering. But as I said, the monitorial role of the media, for instance, everything Mr. President said, it is expected that the media will fact check all of these achievements to be sure. It's not just to brand figures, it's not just to tell us the statistics. This thing Mr. President said, how true are these claims? Someone said this morning that the politicians actually say the truth. Well, we'll get to know. Yes. Next slide. Now, here is it. The media as the watchdog. People expect that when you have politicians in power, in fact, our democracy, they call us the fourth person of the realm. Our democracy is expected that the media will be that big brother that should be on top of everybody. The media is expected to be that particular institution that sees in and out, even if we are not witches. We are expected to see everything that is happening and be the watchdog. Now, watchdog journalists gather information about the actions of people in power and inform the public in order to hold elected officials to account. A lot can happen. Let me talk about the one we can relate with around us here. The media has been questioned how much exactly goes to local governments in Ondo State. That is one of the roles of the watchdog. Yes, people like Professor Wonder is really not taking it easy with them, and I'm sure that it's going to get to the root of the whole thing. But if the media is saying how much is coming to local government in Ondo State, and the local government chairman has said, no, it is not 4 million. We are getting what belongs to us. What will the media do? Are you getting my point now? Except for other institutions like the judiciary, if you want to make use of the Freedom of Information Act to get the right information. But we were having a discussion the other time. There is an extent you can even go as a media practitioner, and some of the issues that affect your activities as a media practitioner, we get to look at all of these issues. It's not as if the media cannot play the role of the watchdog, but there are too many challenges hindering that role from being performed optimally. The general issues focus on scandals that watchdog journalists cover are political corruption and any wrongdoing of people in power, such as government officials and corporation executives. Now, predictors of watch role performance. Let's look at this together, please. Depending on the differences in social and organizational level, the performance of journalistic role also changes. Next slide. Let's look at our democracy. Watchdog journalism can work effectively in well-established democratic institutions. What does that imply? Where things work normally. The brand of democracy we have in Nigeria is abnormal. It means, therefore, that if you want the media to perform that watchdog role, which is our expectation anyway, we must first of all ask ourselves, is the situation in Nigeria normal? If it is abnormal, then it goes down the ladder. Number two, audience orientation. It's one of the factors that affects the performance of journalistic roles. For instance, in Nigeria, private media platforms are more likely to be accepted by the audience to play the role of the watchdog. It means you do not expect NTA or FRCN to peep into what the federal government is doing. If at all they are even able to come up with anything at all, you will still say it's a lie. Are we together? Why? Because we feel that ordinarily state-owned platforms, state-owned media can never be objective. So audience orientation is one factor that affects the performance of journalistic roles. The third, the media political leading. I recall when I was in International Institute of Journalism, there was one assignment. The press is free, yet in chains. I can't forget that assignment. Yes, you have freedom of expression, you have all the rights of becoming a fantastic media practitioner, but you are in chains. What are the things keeping you in chains? Number one, the ownership influence. You can be a brilliant journalist, no doubt. You can even be a fantastic investigative journalist. But the big question will be, what is the political leaning of your owner? Are we together? Yes. If your owner is a member of PDP, for instance, and you are coming to tell us you want to investigate the budget of PDP right from inception, why they don't have a national headquarters, and all of the corruption that has taken place allegedly in PDP, I'm sure that that report will not see the light of the day. And that's why I advise professionals that seek my advice. If you want to join a platform, don't join a platform that is set up for political purpose. Because after election, that radio station will die. Yeah. After election, it is no longer a priority. And when a station is set up for political purpose, it will mess up your own professional living. Especially if you have not been opportune to work in other platforms, you may actually think that that's how it is done. Are we together? Next one, please. Now, it's not all bad news. The media has made some positive impacts on our democracy in Nigeria. Let's look at some of these impacts. The media has exposed a lot of corrupt cases in Nigeria, question government actions, and give voice to opposition perspectives. In Ondo State, as we speak, if there is one platform, and I'm happy that I have that platform, that has given the opposition the voice here, it's Crest FM. And that's because when we were starting, we made it a point of duty not to be for any political party. So if you are for PDP, you are for APC, Labour, anywhere, everybody, you are free to come here to talk. There have been instances where they shout at themselves here, nothing concerns us. If we are not getting anything from government, we are free to say our minds. But that's not the situation with other platforms. And it's not their fault per se. All of the issues I mentioned earlier will play out one way or the other. Number two, informed citizenry, political debates. Dr. Abimbola will remember a time that was set up a debate in this hall. Yes. Nobody showed up.
I run down from Akuba to this place.
Not one soul, not one soul.
The aspirant, the candidate.
We made a lot of noise, we did everything we could. So let's have this conversation. Not one.
I showed up for National Assembly.
I recall that the last debate that was held in Ondo State, political parties were angry with challenge. Why? Because they said it from the beginning that it's just PDP, APC that they wanted to deal with. All other parties can go and do their debate elsewhere. But the fact remains that how informed are the citizens? It is only when you are informed that you can ask the right questions. It is only when you are informed that you can ask those who have elected into public office if they are doing it well or not. We are in a generation where they will brand payment of salaries as achievements, and you hail them as if you didn't work for it. We're in a generation where they tie the road and they say, oh, we have done really well. Is that what we deserve as a nation at this time, 65 years down the line? And this is what we still hail. Number three, platform for political participation, calling shows, social media engagement, and citizen journalism. Now, citizen journalism is a brand of journalism that is just evolving. Thanks to the development of the new media. Because now you can pick up your phone phone and report a situation right from where you are. But it also has its dangers. And that's what gave rise to a lot of fake news around. People can just come up with any form of content under the name of catching crews and send one funny news out there. And before you know it, the whole situation would have turned around. Number 4, election transparency. Media coverage of elections, including live results transmission. INEC promised us that live results transmission. I recall, I think last week or so, when we were talking about the expectations for the new INEC channel. And I recall that the guests talked about this one. Why should it be difficult for us to achieve live results transmission in Nigeria? Something that can be very, very transparent. We'll come, this act will work, this election, when it's time for the actual implementation of that thing, it won't work. And we keep pumping money into INEC day out. Documentation of irregularities promotes electoral integrity. Yes. Policy influence. Investigative reports and public discourse drive policy reforms and government responsiveness to citizen needs. That is that government that listens. Those who do not listen, even if you cry from now till Jesus comes, they won't do anything still. Next slide. Still on positive impacts. Media industry growth. Political advertising during election cycles generates significant revenue for media houses, supporting employment and industry expansion. But this particular one has a form of danger that it poses for the industry. Yes, we can applaud the fact that the media industry is expanded, but it has given room to all kinds of people coming into the industry. In Ibadan, for instance, now we have 60 radio stations. How do you cope?
Accra is now more than 10.
10. Accra now is almost 20. On those states, almost 20. You understand? So, as much as you can applaud that this is development, it has a lot of issues. What happens is that instead of putting professionals there, they will just look for interns that they can give, stipends and push them behind the microphone. These are people who are not trained, people who are not informed, and they do anything they like. When they now say things that are off the mark, people will say, oh, the media started. But at least professional journalists in the real sense of it, there are people who rely solely on content creators. They won't check. There is no professional journalist today that does not know that before you put any news item on the airwaves, you should check, fact check, and check again. But these are people who just rely on maybe a post on social media and then you put it on radio. Next slide. The negative impacts. Misinformation, disinformation, and manipulation. Fake news and disinformation. Fabricated stories. Doctored images, no thanks to AI. These days now, I can put you where you've never been before, put your words in your mouth and report that you said so and so. That's the problem. But as much as we fear AI, we should also look at the positive impact. I want to applaud TVC Communications. They tried something with AI which, well, in the long run, broadcasters will lose their jobs anyway. But they were able to factor AI to read the news in English, in Hausa, in Yoruba languages. They did that with AI. It is, a form of development to the industry. A radio station in Kenya did a model of AI that ran the entire day's broadcasts with no single soul in the studio. These are some of the advantages, but it has its disadvantages too. People will lose their jobs, especially broadcasters who are not technological savvy. They will lose their jobs in the long run. Hate speech, head will roll. The baboons and all of those things we've had in our lexicon here in Nigeria. Politicians are desperate people. they will do and undo. If you provide a platform for them to advance this cause, it will destabilize the country. Here in those states, I recall during the administration of Governor Mimiko, the private administration in those states, live on air said there is some printing now in the government house. The radio station allowed that on air. Now, one thing is this.
And it wasn't true.
We get a lot of information. There is something called self-censorship. Not all the information the media houses get that the society needs.
Yes.
Not all. There are certain information that if you push it out the way you get it, it destabilizes everywhere. So what you do is to sieve that information that you get and see the ones that are necessary for the public. That's what you push out. But I talk about radio stations owned by politicians. In such instances, you are helpless. When your guy who is not even a trained broadcaster who knows next to nothing about the media, but is a core politician, gives you the instruction, okay, go ahead and say this. If you still want the job, you stay there. If you don't like the job, you go to your house. Are we together? But the impact of such actions on our democracy cannot just be emphasized. Media capture, politicians and business interests own or heavily influence media outlets, compromising editorial independence and creating propaganda channels. There are some stations when you listen to them, you know propaganda. There are some when you listen to them, you know you are hearing the truth. 4, paid news and brown envelope journalism. Interesting, they don't give brown envelope again.
Why?
Just transfer.
Okay. Transfer, not divide.
I don't drop that card to the transfer. No envelope. Financial inducements corrupt reporting. With politicians paying for favorable coverage. When you hear things like, kill that story. They know what they're going to kill that story. That means that story is not going anywhere. Especially if your commissioner for information has very strong ties with editors of national newspapers, it will fly. You won't see it anywhere. In fact, if it's a damaging story, the government has the power, the resources to buy the entire whatever, and you won't find that newspaper anywhere. Next one. Revelation manipulation. Government uses NBC a lot. A whole lot. The last NBC code that was released, I think that was during the administration of late President Buhari. That was too choking for the media. Because if you put in all of those rules and regulations, you must not do this, you must not do that, then where's press freedom? So at times, people have been shouting that they need to come together again to check this thing. It happens every 2 years, I think.
No, it's
3 years now. So that you can take a second look at the evidence, because what we have at the moment is there. You can't perform well as a broadcaster if you make use of this current. But we do not have any choice. You have to abide by the rules and regulations of what you have. The Foundation laws and licensed threats to intimidate critical media and silence dissent. You must have heard of some radio stations that government will ask them to go and shut it down because they. There was even a radio station that they cut the road leading to the place.
You know those things here.
Oh, okay, this is those things. Journalist safety. Reporters face harassment, arrests, and violence when covering sensitive political stories. I recall during NSAS, during the NSAS protest, myself, Lola Akimbo, I think Bobby was there too, we were almost killed at, is that how we call it? Road call, yes, we were almost killed. Why? Because we didn't do anything other than going down to report what was happening in town. And immediately we stepped out of the car, big stones everywhere. They wanted to hit us, you know, destroy everything. They even said we brought cameras. And we said, no, this is a radio station, not television station. They were not listening. Save for one man who came from somewhere to rescue us from that mob. But if that was not the case, we would have been injured or probably dead by now. Why? Because we just wanted to report NSAS. Journalists say, okay, sensationalism is an over substance. Well, focus on scandals, conflicts, and personalities overshadows policy discussions. Basically because bad news is good news. Yes. If I publish any newspaper now, if I look at, there's this Guardian newspaper, Business Day, they believe that these newspapers are for the elites. But you want Saturday Tribune, Sunday Tribune, where you find one man, one woman, and so on. You know, that's just the next constitutional device on equal access to information technology means rural populations and poorer communities remain underserved in political information. Well, radio gets everywhere. It's one advantage that the radio has over television. But for me, per se, I believe that even those in the rural communities know their left and their right when it comes to elections, except for those that may not have enough political information that they can be manipulated with this 5,000 and 10,000 that they share about. But the politicians know what they are doing. Instead of opening up these spaces, they rather keep these people in poverty so that they can always come every election cycle to give them stipends and get their votes. Solutions: ethics and self-regulation, strengthen Nigerian Press Council and Broadcast Organizations of Nigeria, enforce journalism of conduct rigorously, establish industry-wide fact-checking initiatives. Financial independence. You see, a lot of radio stations are grumbling, and that's why the government looks in your direction, you jump at it. You jump at it. Not every station has that financial capability to say, government, go to that. Not every station. So if the government, I can confirm to you that there are states where the government will put private stations on payroll monthly. The other month, people are complaining in Ibadan. If you have a station where in one station the governor bought SUVs for about 4 or 5 staff members there, and this is one of the major radio stations. Tell me, what will come out of such a station now? Come, but 3, professional development, continuous training in investigative journalism, data journalism, and fact-checking. This also should go to media owners. Don't just say because of the number of radio and television stations we have in the country, push just anyhow people without training behind the microphone. They can do more harm than good. Membership programs, pairing senior and junior journalists, partnerships with international media development organizations. Next. Progressive regulation, reform information laws to protect press freedom, ensure NBC operates independently without political interference. Maybe when Jesus comes. Safety protections, enact and enforce journalist protection laws, rapid response mechanism for threatened journalists. Number 6, digital literacy programs, national campaigns teaching citizens to identify fake news. There are a lot of training and workshops now and even apps that can help you to identify fake news as we speak. So when you see anything on any WhatsApp platform, don't just jump at it and absorb it the way it is. Our parents, for instance, now anything they see, they will broadcast, send everything to you. Either it is true or not, they send it down. All right, next one. Multi-stakeholder engagement technology for good alternative funding models. These days, media houses now look for grants. Instead of waiting for governments for patronage, you look out for organizations that are committed to the development of journalism to get grants and support from them, so that it can also help your revenue base. With that, you can maintain editorial independence. Next slide, yes, sure. All right, the way forward, media practitioners must choose integrity over inducements. Politicians must respect press freedom and engage honestly Citizens must demand quality journalism and reject misinformation, and regulators must protect rather than suppress media independence. And as I close, let me say that power does not corrupt men, but fools, when they get into position of power, corrupt power. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. David. That was well packed. I like that we are in a very intellectual gathering, and it's not looking like we are bored at all.
No.
Intense, easy, and we are ready to go on. So we've touched on security, we've touched on education, and we just concluded with media. And I'm so sure that we are going to love this next session that we are getting into, because these are the people we are looking for. All right. Okay, so I'll be bringing up Mr. Otumojo. His topic is on our politics, on quality of governance. Okay, so let me quickly bring, why we are doing this is basically to help us understand the quality of people that we have here. They are not just people that are just starting out. So, Dr. Ojo is a communication and leadership expert, a believer in the ability of Africans to deliver Africa. Having started out in a civil service environment, Dr. Ojo has taken many leadership roles in the private sector and now sits as the chairman of the Young Progressive Party in Ondo State. He's an author, a public analyst, a graduate of mass communications, and holds 3 master's degrees, one in mass communication from Ajayi Crowther University, Oyo, another in corporate communication from the Rome Business School, Italy, and a master's in leadership from Kenya Leadership University. Today, he sits on the board of about 3 non-governmental organizations and aspires to sometimes lead Ondo State to prosperity. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, it's my privilege to bring up
Good afternoon, sirs and ma'ams. I have accused Dr. Abimbola of stealing my slide. So, because you just see that everything, the good thing about Nigeria is that I keep saying it, you get to some communities, they have problem with knowing what the solution is. Our own case is doing what the solution is.
Yes.
So we all know what the solution is, but doing it is where the issues are. And I'm going to be speaking very briefly because everything I had planned to say, all the speakers have said it. So I'm going to speak on the effect of politics on the quality of governance. The effect of politics on the quality of governance. And you can just follow me and just try. Okay. So I'm going to start by telling you that politics is the process and governance is the product. But the question has always been that whether we can mistakenly have a good product when the process is faulty. And one very good thing about this is that I started my life very early, very, very early. I got into the civil service setting when I was 19. And for me, I still qualified as a youth when I started that. And from that, so quickly, I've traveled in 4 major, I don't want to call them sectors, but just permit me, of the economy. Civil service setting, private sector, leading in a religious organization, leading in a political party. And I say that the behavior of the Nigerian is the same. We can cover and color in the name of Jesus, or Inshallah, or anything. But when you dig deeper, you discover that it's the same thing. For instance, people in, permit me to use the word because that's what what the media has termed us, people in smaller political parties tend to believe that the problem they have is in the major political party. But the truth is that it's the same. I was in Abuja struggling to get the nomination form of my party when I wanted to run as governor of the state. So we couldn't agree because the money that the party said they wanted, I didn't have that kind of money. So we were negotiating. So we were in the hotel. We stayed with about 4 of my guys that were there. So we were afraid to touch the money to even pay for accommodation. Because that means that the money we are praying that it should go up will come down if we try that. So in the process we couldn't agree. I had to come back to Ondo State. When I was coming back, there was something dramatic that happened. Our woman leader called me and told me that no, we don't do it like that. As you are going to click the form now, as you are coming, we must arrange people that will welcome you. I said, but I didn't get the form. Traditionally, when you come back, truly, you are supposed to show the form and make notes about it and all of that. But there's nothing to show. He said, no, we must organize how people must come and welcome you. Reluctantly, I agreed. So we were at the party secretariat when I came back. And they came. We had a good welcome. Then I told them the story of how I was able to get the form. That I would get back to Abuja and take the form. And now, came, as I was sitting, the woman came and tapped me at the back and told me that we have to demobilize the people. So, I just started to take from the money I'm keeping to get the form to demobilize. Cut long story short, she offered to help me out. And she did. Very good woman. But I was on my way to Convocation. Yes, I'm going to say that account number. So when I ultimately paid the money, and on Thursday of that week, the women gathered again, and one of them grudgingly came to me and said, "You didn't give us money the last time we came." So I couldn't tell her that I gave the women leader money to demobilize people. That means that either you are in APC, you are in PDP, you are in YPP, that I am, the character and the peculiarity of the Nigerian politician is the same. It's the same. And that's why I sit in meetings, political meetings, so to say, and I pity people that are outside, that are believing that their solution will come from such a meeting. And I'm not pontificating. But this is the reality of what I've said. So I've always have issues with the problem, with the process. But here is it. People now think about the governor of Ondo State. And they say anything they want to say. People now think about the president of Nigeria. And they say anything they want to say. But they have forgotten how the process that bettered the product. And I say to you again, that I'm more concerned about the process than the product. And politics is the process, governance is the product. So how does politics affect the quality of governance? So, number one, I'm just going to talk about what I call the 3 C's. The core and the character, the courage, and the cost. Now, like entrepreneurship, I have come to realize, I did a 4-year research into the problem of leadership in Africa, and I came up with a book called Understanding Technical Leadership. In the process of the research, I've come to realize that like entrepreneurship, politics is somewhat like a calling. That's why some people naturally have the grace. Naturally. I'm not saying that this thing is not buildable. I am just saying that some things come with ease to some people. And some people will struggle through the process to be able to refine into it. For instance, there are people who hold the microphone, like our speakers, that you want to listen to them more. And there are people who go to school to learn public speaking for them to be able to hold the microphone. So I am of the opinion that there are some people that are gifted with the gift of uniting people for common goal. And that's why you see, those people that are gifted with this gift, they hardly do the business of dividing. And politics, most of the time, thrives on dividing. You can call it, there's something we say in Lagos, where people are now moving to the rich people. They say people are living in Surulere, wealthy people. So people stray from Ojota, Lagos to Surulere. The wealthy saw them and they move away to another place. So now, the idea of politics is to divide, keep people where they should be, or where they shouldn't be, or where they should not be. So it's about dividing. But when you see people who are gifted with the grace of politicking, they want to naturally unite people. And that's why I'm of a strong opinion that we must serve our community to discover people who are gifted with this gift. For instance, there are some parents who can tell with utmost certainty areas that their children will thrive. They can look at them and say, this one will thrive in this area. If we look well into our community, there's probability that we will see people, we will identify, who have that innate ability to unite people for a common goal. And that's why I think it's more of a call. Now, this call affects the character of people. I don't know. They promised my elder brother that they were going to make him a supervisor. If only he prevented me from winning my polling unit. So he did. He did. Now, he was not the one that prevented me. Now, I did not know how, I didn't have that kind of character. So I think I was telling Mr. Henry, when I sat down, when I looked at the table, when I was running for office, and I saw my elder brother had gone to College of Education and returned to our village as a farmer. He had not had his own moment of glory. I have been having mine. So I decided that I was not going to contest my polling unit with my elder brother because I wanted him to have his own moment of glory. Since what he wanted is to be a supervisor. Don't ask me whether they made him a supervisor because they never made him. And he won his polling unit. Now, what refined my character is because I have a call to unite people. So I couldn't struggle with my elder brother to earn votes. I just let him be. But do you know what happens, sir? They beat my PA, they almost killed him. Despite the fact that we went struggle with them. So I think the call comes with the character. The next thing is the courage. Now, people, sir, people may think politicians are their problem. But a community without people of courage will always find fault in the activities of another.
Yes.
I went into the Polytechnic, and as I entered, the first thing that came, I was fresh out of the village. Fresh out of the village. And I saw student union government building. That was the first time I would see a thing like that. And I was wondering, oh, so students have government? I was wondering, that was the first time I would say I was fresh out of the village. So I looked at it and I was fascinated because I never knew student had. Then I remember that my elder sister had written my father with a student union government letterhead. So I knew, once I get out of that place, I was going to look for the letterhead. So I got home, I started checking everywhere. Then I saw the letter, it fascinated me a lot. Then I went to the Polytechnic because I had two options. I get admission to study political science elsewhere. I went to the Polytechnic because I saw student union government. And as I was entering the gate, I made a decision that I want to be part of the student union government. Now, here is it. The mass comm department that I belong to, we were less than 300 in a populated, Polytechnic. But I saw the courage, but that's not where the courage is. I did not want to challenge them because courage is not just about taking action, it's about knowing the good to also avoid. Sometimes they called me and told me that they will make me PRO in the faculty, that I will not need to contest. That sounded good. But I had to summon the courage to run for the student union president. Now, when I now won, there was nothing to do because my vision was to win. I didn't even know how to call the first meeting. I didn't know. I had won one, but a lot of people would have called me a failure as a student union president. But I was a great achiever. Why? Because my ambition was to win student union this thing, and I did. But here's it. I didn't know how to, because there were people from neighboring schools that had come to populate our school, and cultism had become an issue. And I didn't know how to address this issue. And everybody was looking at me as if I was the student union president. I have to bring a solution to it. But here's what changed my perspective. I was on back. And I didn't know nobody. So I had to approach somebody who was in the paramilitary to be showing me the faces of cultists on campus. So we were on back and he told me, he said, Don, we are being followed. Followed by him, I don't know the election yesterday. He said, no, we are being, he said, followed by who? He said, Edake. Edake that I have been hearing his name since when I was in year 1. So Edake is following what you cool. She remember my vision is also because I don't even know what to do with it. But here's the story. And I was almost wee on bike. Only for us to get to the junction where I'm going to my house, I turned right, and I turned left. And I never even knew that the Bible in his front was a student union president. I was too angry with myself. Then I got home. I called my friend into the room and said, go and do it. Make sure that you have it. I said, from today till I leave this school, I'm fasting. From today. And I will never be in this situation where anybody will threaten me. Do you know the product of that? One day, so I was going. There were about 3 odd guys in the school. One is Jesus. The other is okay, they lead, or more, they lead 3 different couples. So one day I was going. I've been wanting to meet with Jesus. That's his name, not Jesus Christ the Savior. So I've been wanting to meet with him, but it was a tough assignment.
Jesus of
Not Jesus Christ, Jesus the God guy. So I wanted to meet him. So as I was walking past, Remy, my PA, was telling me, don't take left, don't take left. Obviously, Jesus had graduated before I entered school, but he has decided to just stay there and cause trouble. So, for me also to now prove to my PA that I am now the student union president, I am different from the man he used to know after the election. He told me to turn left, I turned right, and I faced Jesus. And I said, Jesus, how are you? And immediately I did that. I didn't know his boys were inside the vehicle. Because he was sitting on the bonnet. They opened the door and came out. I told him, I said, my name is Don, the new student union president. I'd like to see you in the office by 4 o'clock. So I turned immediately. I didn't want to have that conversation in that area. I turned immediately. Then I saw a stone on the ground. I picked it. As if I made some incantation into the stone. And threw it away. And I heard them say, oh, Omelajeni, Ogunpolowe. So some minutes to 4, I left the student union building. I came to my class to receive lecture. So I put off my phone. And because I knew people would try to call me. Then around 4:30 to 5, I went back to my office. Then It's been everywhere, raking and doing all manner of things. Then I told them to call him for me. They called his number and I picked. He picked from the other side. I said, this is done. He started raking. I allowed him to rake. And I said, Jesus, this is done. The student union president talking. If you get to Asolo, you will wait for the president. Now that you have decided to be arrogant to me, do you want me to now deploy my power so that we continue to fight ourselves in this book technique? I said, please. Wherever you are, meet me as also there parallel by 6. You know what his response is? He said, yes, sir. That is what politicians are supposed to say to citizens when we deploy our courage. But we fear them too much. We fear them too much. Oh, sorry. You fear us too much. You fear us too much. And that's why you get to communities People are looking at their politicians as their God. Like our dad said, he said they are our servant. But it's ironic that people fear their servants. We fear them. And the reason why we cannot develop courage is because none of us wants to swim against the tide. None of us want to swim against the tide. And you see that courage is not a product of luck. It's a product of personal decision. Not a product of luck, not a product of charm. We just say that we got to a point where we want to deliver ourselves. And until we get to this point, politicians will only make jest of us. Now, the cost. The cost also has effect on the process, and at the end of the day, on the governance. There are a few people here that have run for office. I left Lagos. I had met a wonderful man who was treating me very well in a bank called, okay, maybe I should just leave the name of the bank. So there was a vacancy for an accountant in a multinational. And I've been calling this man because he done me well. Apply for this job, apply for this job. And he was not applying. So I decided by 7 a.m. to go and wait for him in the front of the bank. So I waited for him with I printed out the things, the requirements and all of that in the paper. So I got to the bank, I was waiting for him. Then he came, I gave him the paper. That said, you have to apply for this position. It was then he now held my hand. He said, I'm representing the interests of my father in this bank. He said, so I cannot join the other place. I said, you should have put me on. That's how we became best of friends. So I was coming home to run for election, June 1st. I called him that I needed some money. So they moved him to a branch along the Lagos Expressway. So I drove to him. He said the entire money they have in this bank is not up to what I needed. But tomorrow when I come, he's going to make preparation. Then he made preparation for it through me. And I was coming. I drove myself. And I packed all the money he was able to give me. I put it, of course, wrote about to check to back that up. I put it in the trunk of my car. And I came. And I made a press release that day that I'm coming to run for governor of Ondo State. And they told me that I should do consultation. I've only covered 2 local governments. I've called my woman in Lagos that, please, send the woman. And the money I brought was the entire money I had. Like the entire money I had. And it was on the 7th of June that I had to make a call to Lagos to look for more money. But here's what touched me. A place called the Erunje in Otupa local government. I'd gone there to do consultation. And after the consultation, I dropped 50,000 naira. So as I was going, they opened the envelope to know how much was there. And they saw, and they were angry. And the man picked the money. I was running after my vehicle. Excellency, yes, oh wow. Excellency, yes, oh wow. Meaning that, Excellency, this is not our money. This is not our... And we are all guilty.
Yes.
We are all guilty. And I say it often, that there's no family today in Nigeria who is not represented in this guilt. For example, you just want to place an advert on the media. For example, sir. Politica is different. It's in this, on one page. The normal people.
Yeah.
All of this.
Yes, now.
All of this will contribute.
The media is also guilty.
Yes, all of this will contribute to the quality of governance that the winner will be able to deliver. Lastly, so in conclusion, I said the product cannot mistakenly be better than the process. And we are not seeing the process that leads to somebody winning election in Nigeria. I've talked about it, the lack of courage, the cost, and all of that. And I said that we can pause our effort to better the product. All of us have been talking about, oh, we want good governance. Can we just pause a bit and say we want a better election? And better election starts from all of these processes that have, first, it starts from populating the political party with credible people so that we can have a credible election. My name is John. I'm just today is Wednesday. It is my legal conference.
that last line you wrote. Please listen. I think I missed it. My name is John, and because today is Wednesday, it's my midweek wisdom. Wow. That's very true. Thank you very much, John. Thank you so much for that one. So we've had 4 sessions so far, and we're going to the final session for today. It's important that, you know, when the table is standing, when the table that we are trying, many people have come to try to select the table. So the final, that we break the table, finally. Break the table finally. It's my absolute privilege and honor to bring up Femi Emmanuel Emodamori, Esquire, a prominent Nigerian lawyer and public affairs analyst based in Akure, Ondo State. Over the years, he has earned a reputation as a fearless advocate for transparency, accountability, and good governance. Through legal interventions, published writings, and media engagements, Emodamori consistently challenges constitutional breaches and calls public officials to order. He is also the principal officer of Femi Emmanuel Emodamori and Co-Law Chambers. He is widely recognized for his rare commitment to personal integrity, demonstrated by his voluntary publication of annual income and gifts to promote openness in public life. Beyond his legal practice, he is a respected voice on democratic development and the rule of law, making him one of the most outspoken and trusted commentators on governance issues in Ondo State and Nigeria at large. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please let's make welcome Femi Emmanuel.
Let me thank the organizers of this program. Our big brother, like we all call him, the biggest boy on radio, I appreciate you so much. Let me, by extension, thank your radio station for the wonderful thing you are doing in this city, in this state, and in this nation. I've had the privilege to be in different radio stations as a privileged commentator of all levels, and then, Sister mentioned, but one thing is unique about your practice here. Government-funded nature, of course, gave their capital, they exist, they gave their lifeline from the government. It is understandable, therefore, if their main concern is not survival. It is understandable why some private media houses, of course, need to talk about survival, because no matter how good you are, you have to survive. But Crest FM is one of the very, very, very few media houses that have interacted with over the years that will never put money first before journalism. Not that they don't need it, but only God knows how they get the wisdom to survive. No matter what you are doing, even if you are interacting with some government companies, before they publish your story, before they even report the good thing you claim you are doing, you have to do the name. I'm not blaming them. I'm only commending you for the exceptional wisdom you have deployed in this radio station. It's a privilege for me to see my big daddy here, Pastor Larry Wadu. He's doctor to every one of you. He's my pastor. I've benefited from everything you have said, and I have nothing new to add. I'm only going to take here and what you have said to present my point. The last 5 minutes, I just raised a piece of news on my phone. The Association of Veteran Journalists, or League of Veteran Journalists, addressing the press conference in Ondo City, I think. And their chairman, October Say the problem of Nigeria is not politicians, they are judges. Just 5 minutes ago, the judiciary, according to him, is the problem. And that fits into the topic I'm expecting to speak. Our politics and the rule of law and the judicial system. From what we have said here, the very beautiful presentation of the guest speaker, the co-speakers, we understand politics affects everything. The media, academic, and it appears that, look, we have little or no trust for our politicians. Somebody said, look, it's believed all politicians are liars. But I've also heard that lawyers are liars. So, lawyers and politicians, therefore, we seem to have, some common perception here. But let's try to do justice. The problem is not our politicians, in our opinion. The problem is not some of our media houses. The problem is not our academics. The problem is not even the judges. The problem is with our character, individually and as a people. And I think every speaker here has touched on that, from Dr. Pastor Larry to our people, to Dr. People are talking about you are certified fit, character-wise and academic. The Don mentioned the process of leadership. What are we looking for in those we are picking as leaders? That's about the character. We'll be wasting our time till Jesus returns for those who believe that. If we think politicians are the ones to solve the problem, no. Yet what they do affects every other thing in this society. I don't want to start defining politics. That is too elementary. But we have to talk about the rule of law. Let me say, confess before we move forward. I'm afraid there's no rule of law in this nation. It's a sad thing. We have total lawlessness as a culture. And we are actively promoting lawlessness as a culture. And the few ones who try to be law-abiding now are the victim. Great. The ones advocating the rule of law, they are seen today as the nuisance in the society. It's even too much. Someone told Femi Falana on Tuesday, Falana voting. A few days ago, there was a sponsored press publication against my humble self for simply asking a question. Can we know how much you have paid to local government from the statutory, state joint local government accounts released to local government from January to July 2025? The publication was so, clearly sponsored that I began to laugh. No, he said, and they use a non-governmental organization, just like the one organizing this program. So the problem is not one NGO organizing a program for the betterment of the society, another NGO being used by those who are perpetrating the rot in the society. And that is always the goal. People ask me, look, how do you want to be described? You can describe me by anything, but please don't call me a human rights activist. I hate that word activist. Many of the people we call activists are rightly described as castivists. They are just paid to do what they are doing. No character. And that is the defining thing, character, individual. And it goes beyond politics. From home, our respective organizations, down to churches, I'm afraid. And it's getting worse in the churches. Yes. The mosque, the character is not there. How do we expect angels from heaven to further and lead us? Unfortunately, the judiciary is not spared today. And so the rule of law is broken. Moral decadence in the society is what, metamorphoses into the kind of leadership problem we have in the society. So, let me tell the truth. We focus on what we are to talk about. If we are to talk about the rule of law, you start talking like we have a lecture here, you start talking about equality before the law, respect for the law. You only rule by the law, not according to your arbitrary whims and caprices. And so you find section 17, subsection 1 of the Constitution saying, the state social order is based on ideas of freedom, equality, and justice. When people talk about rule of law and the judicial system, we only focus on that tiny aspect of it, justice. But it goes beyond that. Section 4, subsection 2 will tell you that there's legislative power of the Federation is vested in the National Assembly, and what are they supposed to do? To make law for the peace, order, and good government of the Federation. Section 4, subsection 7, the legislative power of the state is domiciled in the State House of Assembly to make law for the peace, order, and good government of the state. And so section 17 now telling us that, look, the state social order is funded on the basis of the ideas of freedom, equality, and justice. So if you are to make law for the peace, order, you must make laws that promote equality and justice. Any other thing outside this, you have chaos in the society. There seems to be no order today because there is social disequilibrium in the society. People feel unfairly treated. The same man works 8 hours in a day in one government institution and gets paid what we call peanuts. Another works, Dr. Abibola, very soon probably by God's grace, we'll start hearing Professor Abibola. Amen. More work, less pay. All you need as a secondary school graduate, maybe your secondary school qualification or whatever you call it, to be the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. You don't even need that. People don't know. If you have primary school living certificate with ability to read and write, to the satisfaction of writing, that's why we are wasting our time questioning why.
Or never be.
You are competent, you are qualified constitutionally to be president. Then Dr. Abimbola, with all his hard work, investment in building the nation and then producing those who will be leaders of the nation tomorrow, get paid how much? And then someone sits Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, because by culture they don't sit on Monday in the National Assembly, they don't sit on Friday, they have to travel 3 days a week.
With lots of sex.
Goes home with how much? There is no social justice. We can't have order. And so section 17, subsection 3, paragraph E of the Constitution says to the state must direct its social policy, social order policies towards ensuring that there is equal pay, equal opportunity. So when these foundations are out of it, I'm sorry, the law is helpless. And so people think the law is the problem. Like the journalists that have just addressed the press conference that I read 5 minutes ago. No, the law is not the problem. We are the problem of the law. Beautiful things in our law, nobody follows it. Nobody. Please permit me to just present this thing in the few minutes I have, whichever way I present it. The most important thing is the message we are trying to pass across. Everything is in our law to ensure transparency and accountability, to hold leaders accountable to the people. The problem is not here. Before you get into office, you declare your assets and liabilities with the Code of Conduct Tribunal. I don't know why they say we cannot access it at the level of the Code of Conduct Tribunal. But we now found something that was, no, maybe by mistake, put in the Constitution now. Section 192, subsection 2 of the Constitution. It was the latest amendment, 2023 amendment. Okay? Before our legislatures screen approve our commissioner nominees, now they should ensure that they present evidence of their declaration of asset and liability. It's a new thing. We got it. Since I cannot access it at the Code of Conduct Tribunal, and the constitutional said that my representative should declare his asset and liabilities, okay, let me approve my representative. Give it to me. The law setting up the Code of Conduct will say, look, I cannot access it there. But the Constitution is supreme. Any other provision of the law contrary to the provision of the Constitution is inconsistent and then must be nullified to the extent of inconsistency. Give it to me. Deliberately we went to court. We wanted to expand jurisprudence, focusing on one thing, transparency and accountability in governance. Because we believe the greatest problem we have as a nation is corruption and abuse of office, and it's not limited to politicians at every level.
Yes.
Go to private associations, they are not accountable. Many churches are not accountable, and that's why they are not growing. Go to the Road National Union of Road Transport Workers, you see oppression. This is the chairman's priority. No accountability. If we, as a people, we have developed a culture that we are not accountable in anything, and so we expect leaders to fall from heaven.